Hello again, and in this part we'll be collecting the rewards from our random encounter side quests. And I just love how Joseph has to walk all the way around to talk to this guy. We can't talk over the counter. Oh no, but Raganelli's robbers. Yep, just got the reward for that. Now if we talk back to Joel here, we'll be happy to find out he can now continue on with his business, because we've returned the sword to him. And in return we get the medieval hatchet, which is an axe weapon, but like I said, just concentrate on swords and maces. We don't need to worry about axe weapons. Now we can complete this quest now, give him the Salamanca's tongue, and we'll be given the eyes back. And this is a... I do like these sort of darker bits in this game. And I just had to have a quick look at the items, see how they appeared on the inventory system. Ooh, apparently they're pickled as well. That's nice. But anyway, once we talk to the beggar, we do get this sort of interesting backstory here, where we find out that Joseph is actually responsible for him losing his property. Because, yep, you guessed it, he lived in Joseph's village at the point where Joseph destroyed it with a demon. Poor Joseph, he just can't escape from his past, can he? There's reminders everywhere. I can see, he whispers. As the beggar looks up at you, a strange expression comes over his face. By the wings of Uraf! It's you! Yeah, kind of a downer. But, yeah, you don't play this game to feel good, do you? If you like a bit of darkness, you know, if you like your RPGs to have a bit of teeth, then this is definitely the RPG for you. But anyway, at least we get the Blessed Surcoat. Resist magic 1, I suppose, so yeah, it's okay. But it's got lower protection, so yeah, I don't know. I think at this point I'm better off sticking with the armour I have, and we'll see why in the next dungeon. But anyway, we journey on from Medieval. And I saved the game again, as you can see. Why didn't I edit this out? I don't know, maybe I wanted to prove a point that you should always save after every random encounter. Because, yeah, a battle can so easily turn against you. So always play it safe, I say. But anyway, up to the corner of the continent is the Iona Monastery. If you can find out where it is, of course. You know, this is all my fault a bit, because there are paths you can see on the map which lead you to your next location. I don't know, I just got the impression that I know better, of course. And here it is, just enter the monastery.
Joseph and Fleece set sail for the island monastery of Iona, home of the guardians of the great.
I do really like these monks.
In the age of the
They're sort of an
gods,
interesting
the monastery had been the citadel of Iona,
people, an interesting
daughter of
location.
Alcedo, god of the sea. And here, the first 13 kings of Medieval lay entombed in their crypt, buried.
And its relation to the kingdom is kind of I don't want to say undefined, but it's kind of iffy. Like, they seem to have a connection with the kingdom, but they seem to be separate from it as well. Well, at least the water isn't too stormy. I mean, it's practically a flat plain, as you can see. A boat. Might seem a bit random, but actually, I'm guessing maybe the makers wanted to do something with seafaring travel, because that plays a bigger part in the next game.
So this is the island of madmen and sorcerers.
And as you can see, there are like 3 snake heads as part of the architecture, and that does actually mean something. But once we start exploring the monastery, we'll find out exactly what. Again, I do like these establishing cutscenes. I mean, they're fairly pointless, but yeah, they establish where you're going. They're establishing shots, like in movies. Oh, that's interesting. The symbol on the sail is the same symbol as the flag on the monastery. So I guess they do a. So I guess the monks run a boat tour, you know, or whatever. Now at the beginning here there is a shop here, so you can stock up on supplies. And coming up, we do have a rather long and I guess overall it's an easy dungeon, but we'll get to that shortly. A lift golem, but hang on, you're not a lift golem. You're not made out of lifts. You know, what kind of fool do you take me for? Now, an interesting piece of mythology about these monks is that they go blind by reading the language of the gods, Aozi, which I really like. It's kind of like saying that, maybe I'm giving the writers too much credit here, but it kind of symbolises the fact that if human beings can't really understand God, and when I say God, I just mean I essentially mean viewing the universe. So maybe not actual God, but that human beings. Well, what I'm saying is that human beings arguably are limited. You know, we can only comprehend so much. And these monks who read the language of the gods, they go blind because they can't comprehend it. Well, maybe they can comprehend it, but they also go mad. It's like something beyond their reach. Anyway, I think I've explained that obvious symbolism 10 times over by now. And also, I guess a nice bit of backstory here is that they also use children on this monastery to do all their tasks. Yeah, which is kind of harsh, but it's the Dark Ages, okay? These children should be glad they're not on the streets, like, eating rats for a living. It is a pretty savage time. And unfortunately, we can't really pick these locks here. And that's something about Felicia's lockpick ability, is that she can actually open a few hidden chests and get a few secret items. And again, I do like this music here. It's very atmospheric. It's got a nice acoustic guitar thing going on. And needless to say, there are quite a few side quests we can start here. First up, by talking to this person here, who's looking off into this distance. We talk to Miala. Let me see. Just reading her backstory here. Oh, she was part of a family that served a blind prince. Hey, now you're surrounded by more blind people. Good for you. You know, it's what you're an expert at it. But anyway, she explains how she got thrown overboard and separated from her family. You know, I'm thinking about these places she mentions here and if they're mentioned in the sequel. Because that's the good thing that the sequel does with its writing. Like, obscure references that are made in this game are brought up again in that game. But anyway, we're given another quest here. And by talking to this person, we get this side quest. Sister Quilla. Now, again, she has a similar backstory to the previous person where she was separated from her family, and she essentially just wants to go back to Mufavi. I think that's how you pronounce it. So when we're back in Lenel, we have to talk to a Mufavi captain. Mufavi? That's it, Mufavi captain. Oh, you see, game, when you make up silly words, I'm going to find it hard to pronounce them. But anyway, when we get back to the city, we talk to a captain, and yeah, that's pretty much how you complete that side quest. And she also explains the backstory here, which was in the, if you remember back in the Temple of Urath, if you talk to the Hierophant, he gave you optional cutscenes, and that's also where you can also hear the explanation of the story. But this monastery, Iona, is named after a daughter of the water god, and The story is the Earth God fell in love with this daughter Iona and tried to raise her out of the ocean, but this goddess died, and as a result the Water God flooded the land and killed most of the Earth people, which we'll meet later on. So yeah, this is named after a fallen goddess. And also the Earth God Vadagar and the Water God Armasido we'll learn more about them as the game progresses. Anyway, this guy here, quite important, because we need to talk to him after the next cutscene to access the next dungeon. And also, I do like this idea here at the part of the backstory where he mentions 13 clans. There was a time of great chaos and across Medieva, but unfortunately they got reunited. The land got united under one king, Medieva, which is actually reminded me of Ocarina of Time. That's similar to that backstory, where they established that there was a great war, and then the Hyrule family came to rule. So it's quite similar in that respect. But as I just said, the 13 clans, if you're curious about them, we'll find more about them as we enter their tomb in a short while. Now this one, it's called the Tome of Ganses. We're not really given too much about that. We're just told that that one day a person will show up at this temple, and we will need to give them the book. Fairly simple task. We can't really complete it until much later on in the game, so yeah, but it's very simple. Just keep the book on you. But anyway, we're about to meet a new party member.
I know who you are and why you have come, but I regret I cannot help you. I know almost nothing about your kind. The origin of the summoners was forgotten long
I do
ago,
know this guy's voice, and it seems very familiar. It's definitely by some sort of famous voice actor.
Iago said you could help me.
Your friend Iago knows more about the summoners than any monk of our order. He left Iona 20 years ago, soon after Mirage.
It's never explained how Iago knows about the summoner.
Iago feared the Emperor would find you first.
I guess it could be written in one of these
Medeva
books
would fall
here.
under Maraud's shadow. Iago chose to leave Iona, and so he may never return to this island.
So that's what Iago meant about his sacrifice.
Do not look so glum, my friend, for there is someone here who can be of assistance to you.
And here she is.
Her name is Rosalind, and she is Iago's daughter. A novice of the Order, she has not yet sworn the oath that binds us to
And
this
she
island.
also has a very awkward walking
Rosalind,
animation, apparently.
you may enter now.
You wish to speak with me, Abbot Laurent?
Indeed. This is Joseph. He is the summoner your father was seeking.
The summoner of the Jade Temple's prophecy? This
That's me.
boy is nothing but a peasant.
Oh,
Joseph
game,
seeks
don't
the ring
spoil
of
us
the
with
summoner,
all these likeable
and you will
characters.
help him on his quest.
Help him? My father is the great scholar of summoner lore, not I. If I leave Iona, how will I finish
Oh,
my
that's how
training?
Iago knows. He was a scholar. So
If
apparently
you
there are
wish to
books about
become
the
a monk
summoner.
of this order, you have no choice in the matter.
Iago abandoned my mother for his sake. What do you see in this boy?
Yeah, I would call Rosalind a bitch,
your
but
mother
now
died
she's got a
long ago?
point. Iago is a bit of a
And if Joseph
twat
fails,
for leaving, her and her
The
mother.
sacrifice will have been in vain.
But don't worry, like all party members in this game,
Well,
she'll
Summoner,
eventually come round
why
to
don't
us.
you ask the Kasani where to find your magic rings?
The Kosani?
The children of Vadagar and builders of Akamos.
Oh,
And
right.
Cedo flooded their cities before they renegade.
Try reading a book,
She's
Joseph.
smart for a gutter snipe. The Kasani made the rings, so they might know where they're hidden.
Don't have a
They
go
live
at
on
Fleece, you
Hasanavar,
bitch.
Mountain of the Wise.
Iago said the Ring of Light was here.
Here, on Iona. Perhaps in the catacombs below the Crypt of Kings. No
It's
one
like
has
the only
ventured down
dungeon
there
around,
since
so
Karados
yeah.
vanished. We'll ask Brother Ovard. And after we find your ring, Summoner, I'm going back to Linnell with you. It's time I had a word with my dear father.